values just line up. Come on, man, Trump's the What do you mean? He has his own buildings. What are you talking about? He's like, like Ralph Lauren. He made Ivanka.
You like Ivanka?
Yeah.
You wrote a post on Instagram about her husband today.
Yeah, you know, I had a dinner with Ivanka, Jared, and Josh. And a couple days later, I found out that Josh Kushner had 10% of Skims, which is a line that I had developed with Kim. And I had a lot of issues with the imagery of Skims. I felt like there's a lot of imagery that was overly sexualized and things that I wouldn't want to see my wife and definitely not my daughters doing in the future in order to sell product. But it reaches another level when it's like, okay, well, this is what my wife is doing and this is what they're doing this is what she's doing for our children. But it reaches another level when her business partners are selling pieces of the company that they don't have to because the company's already so successful and it's an internet-based company. So it's like they're really just selling off the company in order to create more relationships for themselves that are unneeded. It's like when I went to the Gap and with our release, they just like, they shoveled it out. I'm very cautious with my words. I'm really big on being able to have an adult conversation in front of the children. So I don't use explicit language in interviews especially. So I found out after this dinner that Josh Kushner had 10% of Skims and I had 5% of Skims. And regardless if, you know, Josh Kushner figured out how to put $150 million, I'm sure it wasn't out of his own account, but $150 million, and I'm sure Jared still has a piece of that fund. Regardless of them putting that money in, for me to have been an owner in it and not known, just from a place as a creative where Skims is so based on a lot of the Yeezy ideas, then it's based on all of the relationships in fashion, because I had to use my relationships in fashion in order to establish Kim in a way where fashionable people would say, hey, I'm down to wear Kim's line. And these VCs, they come in and they get a piece of it after the fact, and they run around and say they have ownership in it. So as I put on my Instagram, which, you know, luckily for everyone, they could just write it off that, you know, I'm crazy until they see my disposition in this interview, and then it's going to get scary. I said, hey, Josh, what if I had 10% of Karlie Kloss's lingerie, shapewear, swimsuit line, and you have 5% of it, and you didn't know? How would that make you feel? And then after talking to them and really sitting with Jared and sitting with Josh and finding out other pieces of information, I was like, wow, these guys might have really been holding Trump back and being very much a handler right then. They love to just look at me or look at Trump like we're so crazy and that they're the businessmen. So when I think about all of these things that Jared, you know, somehow doesn't get enough credit for with his work. And what is it, his work in Israel or his work in Palestine? What is this? You know where he made these peace treaties? Where was that? Do you know the facts on this right here? So I'm like,
well, I think